Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are tackling a huge question, one that gets right to the heart of modern business. What is a corporation even for? For the longest time, the answer seemed super simple shareholders. That's it, end of story. But lately, well, public trust in big companies has taken a nosedive, and that old idea is really being challenged. It sparked this massive debate about who, exactly, a company is supposed to serve. And this whole thing really came to a head back in 2019. The Business Roundtable, we're talking about the biggest CEOs in America, they dropped this, well, bombshell statement. You had 181 of them saying, hey, a company's purpose isn't just about shareholders anymore. They said it's about all stakeholders. That means customers, employees, suppliers, the whole community. Now, that was a huge moment for sure. But here's a thought. What if this entire debate, this whole shareholders versus everybody else thing, what if it's a total distraction? What if the real problem, the real villain that's actually hurting our companies is something else entirely? Because when you really dig in and look at the evidence, the core conflict isn't actually about who a company should serve. No, the real fight, the one that truly matters, is between chasing short-term wins versus building real, lasting value over the long haul. And that brings us right to our villain, short-termism. You can think of it as this obsession with hitting the next quarterly target, right? It's all about making the numbers look good for the next 3 months, even if the things you do to get there are basically like a slow poison to the company's future. Okay, so how does this actually work in the real world? How does this trap get sprung? And why do so many smart, capable executives fall for it time and time again? Well, check this out. A survey of 400 CFOs gave us a pretty shocking answer. A whopping 80%, that's 4 out of 5, admitted they would willingly slash spending on things like research and development or marketing. The very things that create future growth. And they do it all just to make sure they hit their numbers for the quarter. And what you get is this terrible feedback loop. The pressure to deliver right now forces decisions that might look great on a spreadsheet today, but they're actively chipping away at the company's foundation for tomorrow. It weakens their ability to compete and stay healthy in the long run. Right about now, you're probably thinking, but wait, wouldn't the stock price show all this? And the answer is, not really. The market isn't psychic, right? I love this analogy. It's like selling a house. You, the seller, know all about that leaky pipe under the sink or the funny noise the furnace makes. The buyer? They have no idea. It's the same with a company. The managers on the inside know what's really going on, stuff that investors on the outside just can't see. Okay, but here is the really good news in all of this. There is some seriously powerful evidence out there showing that when companies manage to break free from this short-term trap, it's not just some feel-good ethical choice. It is brilliant business. It's fantastic for shareholders. All right, let's really get into the proof here, because the data is just crystal clear. Playing the long game, it pays off. Big time. So there was this huge study, right? They tracked hundreds of companies for 14 years. And the results were just wow. The companies that were focused on the long term were 50% more likely to be top performers when it came to shareholder returns. 50%. That's not a small difference. And this chart here really hammers home a point that gets lost in all the noise. I know there's a lot going on in this visual, but the takeaway is actually super simple. Look at this. The very same companies that delivered the best returns for their shareholders, they're also the ones that created the most jobs. It's a direct link. And it's not just about shareholders and employees either. This alignment goes so much deeper. When a company genuinely commits to its long-term health, it almost automatically starts creating value for everyone involved. I mean, just look at some of these examples. Alphabet gives away free educational tools. That's great for society, right? But it also builds their future user base. Or Lego, they run all these community programs that inspire kids, which in turn makes their brand even stronger. Sodexo focused on gender balance, and what happened? Both their employees and their clients stuck around longer. See? These aren't sacrifices, they are straight-up win-wins. And you can apply that same exact thinking to paying your employees a good wage. Sure, on a quarterly report, it just looks like an expense. But if you're thinking long-term, it's one of the best investments you can make. You get less turnover, you attract the best people, and all of that leads to better products and amazing service. It just makes sense. But then you have the dark side, the complete opposite. Remember Turing Pharmaceuticals? The CEO became, well, notorious after jacking up the price of a life-saving drug by more than 5,000% overnight. It was the textbook definition of short-term greed, just grabbing a quick buck while absolutely torching the company's reputation and basically begging for regulators to come down on them. So all of this brings us right back to where we started, back to that big question. But now, hopefully, we're looking at it through a totally new lens. It turns out the real choice isn't some big fight between shareholders and everybody else. We've seen that the very things that make shareholders happy in the long run, like innovation, a great brand, and a happy, motivated team, are the exact same things that benefit customers, employees, and the community. It's not a conflict. Their interests actually line up. And that's the real takeaway here. The actual choice, the one that executives and boards have to make over and over again, isn't shareholders versus stakeholders. It's the short term versus the long term. It's between squeezing every last drop of profit out of today or investing in a tomorrow that's better and more valuable for everyone. So if we know that playing the long game is better for shareholders, better for stakeholders, and better for society as a whole, that leaves us with one big final question, doesn't it? What's it going to take for us to actually start playing it?